Hi, I'm Oliver, age 24. I wanted to try something a bit different in this video. Basically, I've been doing YouTube for maybe 15 years, and in that time, I have only really done scripted videos where I've written a script in advance and then gone through it, recorded it, and then edited it together. And I've never really just hit record, made a video, and then posted the video in one go. So the topic for this video is doing what you love versus doing what sells. And that's in terms of any sort of creative project. I guess you could take it for music, like writing songs just because you want to write those songs, or writing songs because you think those songs are going to do well, or making YouTube videos. So the videos that you want to make, like this is a video I want to make, versus making videos you think are going to get lots of views, which I do not think this video is going to get. This is just a video I want to see made and I want to make, so I am just making that video. And it also applies to games as well. So is it a game you really want to make exist, or is it a game you think is going to go viral and sell lots of copies? And I just think it's a really interesting topic of discussion, having a creative hobby and doing something just for passion versus having a creative hobby and trying to make money out of it or do it professionally, because there's lots of nuance. Lots of things change throughout your career and throughout your life. And from project to project, you might work on different things where one of them is all about just making something you want to make, and one of them you think is more of a financial avenue. So let's have a look at my notes. The first note I've got is the honeymoon phase. And this is, I guess, whenever you start a new hobby, if you're like me, you will start by just trying to learn as much as possible, or just trying to create things because it's fun to create things. And I think the reason I really enjoy this phase of creative projects or creative avenues is that everything you are doing is the first time you're doing it. So it's way more exciting. So like, for example, if you're learning to make games for the first time, everything you make in that game is the first time you're making it. So it's a massive challenge. It feels like problem solving. And every time you manage to fix one of the problems, it's just way more rewarding and exciting. So I would say this honeymoon phase is all about the joy of creating things. And yeah, it is the most fun part of a creative endeavor, in my opinion. I guess like in this phase, I personally don't really care about the engagement or the metrics or Steam wish lists or how many views my videos are getting or how many listens my songs are getting. And it's all just about making things and learning from them, or just having fun from making them. Yeah, I guess the next phase is I've put taste of success. And I guess if we take YouTube as an example, so you're making videos because you find it fun. At some point, one of those videos might do better than the other videos that you've been making. Maybe you normally get less than 100 views on a video, and one video, for whatever reason, just pops off and gets 10,000 views. And at that point, for me, and maybe for other people, maybe for you, something does sort of change, and it feels like there's more pressure and more expectation that your next video or the next song or the next game, the next prototype, the next picture that you post or the next social media post you do, there's this expectation and pressure that you want to achieve the level of success that you achieved before. Yeah, and I guess at this stage, things can sort of shift between it was just really fun and you're doing it entirely for the joy of making it, to you do have this expectation that it will hopefully achieve a level of success. And maybe that level of success changes depending on what project you're on or what your intentions were for the project. But for me, there is that sort of tipping point where if something starts to do well and people are sharing it or the views are going up, I do enjoy that side of things as well. And it does kind of make me think on my next project, okay, what did people like about it? And how can I do more of that thing so that more people see what I'm making? And part of the joy of making things for me is not just making them, but also having other people enjoy them as well. So I think there's a balance, and it tips after a certain point where you get past the honeymoon phase. You tip into that point of, oh, I've had a bit of a taste of success and I would like to have more of that. Cool. So the next stage that I've written down is love versus money. And I guess it's the conflict between you're doing something you really love and now you are trying to turn that thing into either a career, or it's just a hobby that pays your bills, or you're hoping it can pay a team of people and you could start your own company. And this could apply to like music or to making games or videos, anything really. But let's take the example of making games. Yeah, let's say you had your first game, it does quite well, you have a bit of money, and now you want to reinvest that money into making a second project. And now you have that conflict of, you do want this thing to do well. You also really love to make this thing, and you need to kind of fit those two things together. And it's difficult. There's not one answer to how to do this. And I think it does change depending on what the project is. I guess like if we take YouTube as an example, there's that point where you go from, I just want to make videos like this, and you make that video, it does well. And now you're thinking, what can I change in the videos that I'm making? Or how can I make my videos differently that the algorithm might pick up those videos and share them to more people? And it's just, yeah, the conflict is just for each project, working out where do you sit between, I just really enjoy doing this and I want this to make money. And how do you fit those two things together? And I would say from personal experience, when you sort of transition from something that is just a hobby to something that you are trying to see as a job or as an avenue for money, it does become less fun, I would say. Like, you can enjoy the commercial side as well, but there is definitely a difference between, I just want to record a dubstep song and I want to make a song that will sell millions of copies. There is a difference between the two, and it is very hard to do something that is 100% both. So there is always, for me, in my experience, a conflict between those two things. And I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing as well. I think it's amazing if you can find a way to take one of your creative hobbies and turn it into something that either becomes a career, or you're able to pay other people, or just offset your own living costs. I think that's incredible. And honestly, like, I feel really lucky that I've enjoyed working on some of the projects I've worked on in my career, like as a community and social person. I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah, I feel really lucky that I've worked on games that I really love, and I've really enjoyed making social content for those games. And I think it is really rare to find that. I've worked on lots of projects where I didn't really love it, but it paid the bills, or I really loved it, but it didn't pay as much. And it's just really difficult to find something that does both of those things. And even if you find it at one point, maybe there's like times where you're working on it where you don't enjoy it as much. I think when something is a career, or you're trying to make something successful, there's lots of things you have to do that you wouldn't have done if you were just doing it for fun. So, I mean, if you take making a game, there is the whole side of marketing the game, setting up your Steam page, adverts, doing social media. Maybe you don't enjoy that. Making TikTok videos to promote your game. If you were looking at it from a commercial avenue, you do have to have strategies in place for all of those things. And it might not be something that you really care about. In fact, since making games is this whole channel's purpose, making games covers such a wide creative landscape. Obviously, you've got like the artwork, you've got the music, you've got coding, you've got design, you've got marketing, and it is a lot of different creative avenues that it is quite unlikely that you will enjoy all of those different things equally. Usually there'll be something you don't like as much as the other things. And if you're trying to make a commercial success, you do need to try and hit as high as possible on all of those different metrics, which is difficult. And that is the conflict. So the next thing I've written is the balance. And I've already spoke about that a little bit. And I think it is really difficult. And there's things that have helped me in my career. So sometimes when I've worked on a game that I didn't think was going to do well, or it didn't fit with what I like to create social media content about, then what I found really helpful is to have creative projects outside of work where it's just something I really want to make. And as long as I have a balance of projects, so some projects I'm working on, I don't enjoy as much, but they are financial projects, that's fine, as long as I also have projects that are just completely creative. That's just sort of how my brain works. And I always need that balance of a creative project or a commercial project or one that does a bit of both. And I think I have ADHD, so I need that sort of the correct level of busyness for my brain to function properly. And I think it's the same with needing that correct level of financial goals and creative goals. And if I'm not getting that in one project, it is easier to get that by having multiple projects. And I find it also is really helpful to think about what you're working on creatively and just ask yourself, am I doing this to learn something? Am I doing this because I really want to make this? Am I doing this because I want it to sell well? And then working out like what your actual motive is. And if you know what that is, it can change how you sort of view the project. Yeah, I've also put a note of like, maybe sometimes it is good to make something that is deliberately not something you're going to sell. So just try a creative hobby that is something new that you normally wouldn't do or has no commercial value, is just something you think is going to be fun, and then just do that thing. For example, I really started like making Lego. It's up there. Those Lego pixel art images. Really fun, creative hobby. There's no commercial end goal to that. It's just fun. Yeah, I'm just seeing what else I have written here. I put what to expect / reality check. And that was just, if you try to make money from artwork or your creative hobbies, some of the joy of that hobby will fade. I don't like talking in certainties or trying to say something is factual or will apply to everyone, because obviously that's not true. And some people might not have that problem at all. It's just that is something that I feel, looking back on my life so far, is a constant point. But that is not a bad thing. I think it is healthy with projects like that to have a balance of a commercial angle to it, or some measure of success to it, but also it being a creative outlet. Yeah, I don't think the value of something diminishes if it is something that has a commercial angle to it. I would say it's a trade-off, and it will vary depending on the project and also on the part of your life that you're trying to balance that out. Like, there's been times in my life where I have been much more like creative focused, and it has all just been about, this is what I want to do. I'm just going to do this and just go all in on it. And sometimes that's done quite well. And sometimes it hasn't done well. Like, I had a YouTube channel that ended up with 150,000 subscribers. That was probably the most successful YouTube channel I worked on. That started out super fun, and I got really lucky that it did well. And then as time went on, I just didn't enjoy it as much. And at some point I had to decide, I just don't enjoy this as much as I used to do. There's other things I want to do. So I just kind of moved on from that YouTube channel. And that was fine. I think whenever you sort of hit a phase where you're really trying to weigh up the commercial side and the fun side of something, I don't think that's necessarily failing. I think it's just you as a creative person evolving, or kind of working out like what is the new stage that you're at with it, and what is the balance that you need in that given moment. And then I've got outro and wrap up. So for me, I think the dream isn't to pick between art and money. It's to find a balance where I'm creating artwork that I really want to make. And when I say artwork, I do mean games, videos, music, social media content, but also that content is paying my bills and I don't have to worry about finances. So for me, that is the goal, is to make things I love to make and offset my living costs. Yeah. So I would really love to hear your version of this. Have you ever had the same conflict between making things you love and making things you think will do well? Do you sort of view it in the same way I view it? Has any of this been relatable? Cool. So yeah. And if you're working on anything creative at the moment, what is it? And is it just something you want to make, or are you hoping that it will do well as well? Cool. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.